to Design Week Philippines 2021, Design Connections. My name is Kaki Teodoro and I will be your host and moderator for today's session entitled Investing in Design. You know, this is a big year for Design Week Philippines because we are celebrating our 10th birthday. The festival has been showcasing the creativity and innovation of the Filipino people for the past decade, and we are now setting the stage for the next. You know, yesterday we opened our festival with the first of our talks, Design Counts, a first look at the state of Philippine design. As a pioneering design economy mapping study of the Philippines, Design Counts is an in-depth look at design on a national level and the complex network of industries that make up the landscape of the Philippine design economy. And now it is the second day of this year's festival, and we are dedicating it to the supporters of the industry. We'll be hearing from the investors, teachers, and entrepreneurs that keep the ecosystem in movement. And speaking of supporters, allow me to thank some of ours. And so here are the partners and friends who have supported this year's festival. The Design Center and Design Week Philippines would like to thank the Department of Trade and Industry, our festival co-curator, French Manila and Pineapple Lab, our international partner, British Council, our creative media partner, Adobo Magazine, our live stream partner, Kumu, our design partner, Canva, and our program partners, NASA Space Apps Philippines, and a half, Fame Plus, Buensalido Architects, University of Cebu Animation, UXPH, LifeAfterBreakfast.ph, Matic Hub, Robbins Design Center, Philippine International Comics Online Festival, Comiket, Design Davao Society, Architecture Design de Oro, and Cagayan de Oro Design Week. And if you in the audience would want to show your support as well for us today, don't forget to post about us with the hashtag DesignWeekPH 2021. Again, that's hashtag DesignWeekPH 2021. You know, throughout the week, we're highlighting the different components of the design innovation ecosystem. And today, we're going to feature investing in design. These are companies, funders, and, support organizations for designers to find out what it means to invest in design and what the return on investment is when you invest in design. International design studies have shown that over the last 10 years, design-led companies have maintained a significant stock market advantage, outperforming the S&P 500 by an extraordinary 211%. Wow. So really, high-performing companies understand the strategic value of design and have developed a design process to drive innovation and customer satisfaction. And so knowing this, we want everyone to recognize the benefits of investing in design. So we have prepared this session for all of you today. I know so many of you are tuned in via Zoom right now, as well as Facebook Live and on Kumu. We are live streaming right now. And I'm sure you all are looking forward to exploring these case studies on select design and innovation businesses or initiatives backed by support and funding. Ways to make funding and support accessible and easier to navigate. Diba? Magic words. And also strategies to encourage support organizations to invest in designers and design activities, all geared towards increasing competitiveness and innovation in the Philippines. So, diba? Ang ganda talaga ng session natin this afternoon. So, we're going to be having it from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And we want to make sure that everyone is feeling fine. Before we share something with you, we're going to be starting something with you, sharing something naman with us. It's time for a short icebreaker. So what's gonna happen is, in a minute, we will be flashing a QR code on the screen. And I want you to give that a scan, okay? You can use your phones so that you can participate in our activity. Now, if you're having a hard time accessing it through the code, you can also log on to www.menti.com and use the code 17108661. Right now, I know you can see it. the QR code that's purple on your screen. Feel free to scan it right now so that we can begin our activity. And as you can see down there, it's crawling the www.menti.com website, and the code is there 17108661. And so, for you guys, while you're logging on, I'm going to explain the mechanics. It's super easy. We have two questions. The first question is very simple, so we can just give simple answers. In fact, kahit one word answers will do, because we are gonna be creating a word cloud. Now, for the second question, we're gonna be leaving things open-ended so that you can share your ideas more freely and you can make it longer. You can express yourself. So, I think everybody's ready. Here comes our first question. So, imagine, ganda ng question ito. Imagine that you can wake up with 10 million pesos. What's the very first thing that you would buy? So that's our first question. What is the first thing that you will buy? Once again, you can see it on your screens right now. Imagine that there you go. Pareho tayo ng sagot. Itong bibili ng house. I also would buy house or land, real estate, something like that. Specifically, farmland, di ba? Because of the pandemic, nahilig tayo sa mga plants and growing our own food. And so imagine that you wake up with 10 million pesos. What's the very first thing that you would buy? Feel free to add on your answers. And we're going to be creating and forming this word cloud rather, all together. Actually, pwede rin namang world. We're gonna prepare our future worlds, diba? We can keep on dreaming and setting future goals for ourselves. So I know that a lot of us are buying real estate, diba? House and car with 10 million pesos. And so for those of you as well who are, may naglagay ng resort. Ay, very good. Business minded. Wait, there's someone who's going to be spending on video games. 10 million pesos, the first thing that they would buy is video games. Gamer, hello. Hello to you. And everyone is being very smart with their choices, and a lot of these things are mga investment. So great, amazing. Thank you for all of your answers. And so now let's move on to our open-ended question. I think you guys are ready. This is your answer. What is your question rather? What is your wish for Philippine design today? So this is the 10th year of Philippine design. This is the 10th year of celebrating Design Week Philippines. So what is your wish for Philippine design today? There you go. And so let's see what you guys have been sharing. To expand, yes, definitely. Less censorship and taboo. Wonderful. To grow. Nakakatawa. May mga nakalagay dito, house and lot. Feeling ko nasa first question itong mga sagot. Okay. And house, condo. What is your wish for Philippine design today? Condo. So there. This is wonderful. To be seen as a viable career path and not as a hobby. I hear you to whoever wrote this, because as a creator myself, as someone who belongs in the creative industry, this is something that we always encounter. It never goes away, but this is why we're doing this. We're doing these things so that we can really establish and take the industry on the next level. It says here, more inclusive and up to the global standards. Thank you for all of your answers. You can keep on sharing all of your wishes. We love reading all of them. And, we really are looking forward to all of your answers, because after all, this talk is for you, so that we can be able to connect, communicate, and listen to each other. So there you go. I'm going to be reading just a few more before we move on. Okay, thank you very much for all of your answers. Keep them coming. And so, this is wonderful. Democratization of design in the country. This has been a theme since yesterday. In fact, this was mentioned by our speakers, that this is really what we are hoping for. And so this is what also Design Counts is preparing for. And so we are really excited to see the results of the national design identity that they will be presenting by the end of the year. So once again, thank you everybody for all of your answers. Wow, truly wonderful. Okay, and I hope that sharing your answers of with sharing your answers to our questions really helped you feel engaged with today's activity. So I know you're all ready. Thank you very much. So let's dive in, shall we? Our first speaker. Okay, let's start to stretch our muscles and get ready to listen because our first speaker is a filmmaker and a producer from Manila. His works have been screened at the Singapore International Film Festival, OK Video Indonesia Media Arts Festival, Tokyo Image Forum, M Plus Museum Hong Kong, and the Thai Film Archive. He is currently a creative director at Globe Studios and is a program manager at the Globe Studio Short Film Lab and the Dot Chiff Festival of New Cinema. So please give a warm hello to Jan Pineda.
Hi.
Hello, Jan. Thank you for
Hi.
joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, and
So
hello to
what
everyone.
I know you have a very busy schedule right now. So thank you that you're able to join us for this afternoon.
Thank you.
Can I ask what projects are you currently working on film projects right now? Are you in the middle of a shoot? Are you about to start something?
Yes. Currently, we're shooting a film, so the crew is shooting now in QC. But we have a lot of projects, so we also produce commercials. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Recently did branded content for different clients, and we also shot some music videos. So it's really like packed season.
Wow. So and you deal with all of that every day. So different creative projects for from film to commercial work to branded online content.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I'm sure that our audience will be learning a lot from your presentation today. I know everyone is looking forward to this. And so I won't keep you any longer. I'm going to hand over the stage, the virtual stage, to you. Take it away, Jan.
All right. Thanks. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Jan Pineda. I'm from Globe Studios. So I'm one of the creative managers there. I work at the short form content group, and I'm one of the program managers at at GIF Festival of Q Cinema, and I'm currently a co-manager at the Globe Studio Short Film Lab. So today I'll be talking about investing in design, but through film. Okay. So again, just to reintroduce our studio, these are some of the titles that we recently produced. So I hope you saw some of them. A lot of them are available on Netflix, and Gaya sa Pelikula is still available on YouTube, and it's also on Netflix. So I hope you can support and watch some of these titles. Uh, so we've also produced some podcasts. So if some of these titles are familiar with you, yan, Ang Walang Kwentang Podcast, Ends Late, Paano Ba To, the Karen Davila Podcast. So we're also into producing those content. And I've mentioned also that we're currently busy working on a lot of branded content as well. So our biggest client, of course, is Globe. So recently we did a shoot with TM. We recently did music videos. I was able to direct one for 88 Rising and Paradise Rising. And recently we also shot for BPI. And yeah, so here are some of the action. So okay, so for today, I will be talking about one of our programs, the Short Film Lab, which I was been asked to share So I'll just read like a short ano. So Globe Studio Short Film Lab is a platform for emerging filmmakers to test their ideas and mentored by the industry professionals. So it's a full guidance from conceptualizing to finding the audience of the projects. Yeah. So again, what is Globe Studio Short Film Lab? So for us as a studio, we have I think a multifaceted way of approaching and engaging with filmmakers and storytellers and content creators. So of course, as you've seen earlier, we invest a lot on established filmmakers, but also I think it's important for companies like us to be investing in new voices and making sure we nurture those voices. So I think this program is one of our programs that kind of like address that. So at the Globe Studio Short Film Lab, we give a grant of 250,000 pesos to a short film project. So in exchange, we get 50% economic rights, meaning when the film makes money, we through screenings or licenses, we do a 50-50 split with the filmmaker. But of course, the IP or the intellectual property is maintained by the filmmaker. So it's owned 100% by the filmmaker. And through this program, the filmmakers can choose their world premiere. So they can premiere at any festival. And then they can also show their film at the GIF Festival of New Cinema after. So I'll be sharing a little bit of the journey of the short film lab. So we started the call for entries in 2019, and then we selected the projects also in 2019 and awarded them at the festival in 2019. But of course, the pandemic happened, so a lot of the changes had to happen, and we had to shift the mentorship and the production online. So after that, we had an onboarding and consultation with all the winners and the grantees, and then after we proceeded with the mentorship. So we gathered the mentors and a lot of the experts in film to kind of like give guidance to the projects. And then we also had a grand pitch day, which I'll talk about later. And we're currently now in production. So some of the projects that we're currently investing on are currently in production. So, so I've been mentioning GIF Festival of New Cinema. So what is it? I think I'll just give a short background. So in 2019, this is one of our projects at Globe Studios, so GIF Festival of New Cinema. So we transformed the whole La Fuerza compound into different experiences. So we had short films, we had talks, we also included like exhibitions on vertical cinema, virtual reality. So we're investing also in filmmakers, but we're kind of also investing in a lot of the new formats that are kind of emerging today. So at GIF Festivals of New Cinema, so these are our KVs for the call for entries. So um, in the GIF Festival of New Cinema, we had the short film competition and we also had the short film lab and the vertical cinema. So as you can see, we also invest in this graphic design for our projects. So I'd like to give a shout out to Ink Surge, our agency, which helped us with this. Also, one of the exciting things that we did at GIF Festival of New Cinema is introducing like um, this program. It's called vcinema.gif, where we partnered filmmakers, artists, and musicians, and they kind of did this exhibition at an auditorium where we mounted like a big LCD that's vertical. Okay, so I'll talk about the projects that we granted. So also I'd like to give a shout out to all the filmmakers who are on board and that we invested in and like are working hard today to complete their projects. So I guess first I wanted to talk about how we crafted the program and how we onboarded and how we consulted each filmmaker because I think for us it's very important that we talk to the filmmakers, especially these are new filmmakers, and we kind of want to address the needs, their needs also, as they try to invest in us as well as we invest in them. So of course, first we wanted to support them financially, so we kind of give them the 250K grant. Also, we wanted to protect the rights of the filmmaker. So when we crafted all of our agreements, we had to make sure that the ownership of the film remains with the filmmaker. Also, we want to equip them with the knowledge and the help. So we invested in mentors and experts to kind of guide their scripts from how they submitted it and how it was selected to how they are going to be shooting it and the final product. And of course, I think one of the most important for us, and I think it's the thesis of my talk today, is about building the community. So these are new filmmakers, so we want to kind of engage them with the community, the experts, and everyone else, so that they kind of learn from them as well. And of course, one of the perks also of the grant is they can also premiere in any festival that they can or they want. So because of this, I think a lot of parang opportunities moving forward, like talent labs, like other opportunities for them to kind of develop their talent. Some of them have a prerequisite that they need to premiere at certain festivals. And of course, when they premiere at certain festivals, it kind of gives them a credential. So, in supporting them, um, make it through those festivals, it kind of gives a longevity and it keeps them like just creating as well. So so yeah, again, a lot of these projects haven't been fully realized. We launched this in 2019, but because of the pandemic and the lockdowns that are happening in the surge, we're kind of really serious in taking care of them as well. So we kind of gave them a leeway so that they can produce their projects well. Okay, so again, if you want to learn more about the projects, you can go to gif.ph, Globe Studio Short Film Lab. So it's there. Currently, we're still in production. So to anyone there who wants to be part of this in the future, I think after we produce all of these films, and if it's successful, we'll be inviting everyone as well. So just stay tuned. Okay, so just some more things about the short film lab. So we had a deliberation. So of course, since it's a community effort and we wanted to take some credibility from a jury. So our jury was composed of course, Armika Kanindin is a super duper great producer and is part of our team, which is our head of film production. So of course, also our head, Cor Quinares, and the jury members, Carlo Manatad, Bianca Balbuena, Richard Bolisay, and Aileen Kabiling, and John Torres. And of course, that's me. And these are the filmmakers from the awarding at 2019 GIF. So okay, as I told you earlier, of course it's important for us to build the community. So we asked help from a lot of experts and mentors to mentor these filmmakers. So here, I'll just play this short clip. So since the pandemic happened and we had to shift all of the learning online, yeah. So this is a short clip of what happened. there. So that's what happened at the mentorship part. So I think here I wanted to answer siguro like what makes for us what makes a I think a good film or something that we want to invest in also, or like why is it like a good, or why are these like good design. So I think for us, so today since we're talking about like film as a design, I think films also like design can solve problems or at least add to the discourse of kind of like solving problems. And I guess for us, in selecting who to support, I think we like filmmakers who are passionate about their stories. The directors that we chose, we want their kind of like passion on how they're invested in these stories and how they are pushing the boundaries of the genre. And I think the most important is how these films contribute to greater conversations out there. So I think those are our considerations given. Okay, sorry. So again, I think this is one of the I think I'm most proud of the film lab. So at the end of the film lab, we gathered a lot of programmers from foreign festivals. So some of the in attendance are like programmers and festival directors from like Venice, Locarno. So we had programmers, festival directors also attended. Also in attendance are festival directors from Cinemalaya, Q Cinema. So we also had sales agents, production houses, production managers, editors, production designers. So we kind of gathered all of these people and we kind of asked for help. It's sort of like our film community pantry where like these companies and prod houses can also share like what they have to these filmmakers. And so with that, we kind of awarded. We actually asked this production companies to kind of award their grants. So, like the City of Flowers by Seth Suarez is also premiering at Q Cinema, which is happening soon. So he just finished shooting as well. So here are some of the other companies that gave their help, like this Side Up, WAPAC with free sound. We also have like Terminal 6 giving us free post production, Quantum Post, also Epic Media, Monoxide Works, CMB Films, Media East, Big Bug, Arsenal, Red Apple, Indigo, and so much more companies. So I'd like to thank all of these companies for helping us and helping these filmmakers realize their projects. Um, so currently, three projects are currently shooting. So these are some BTS that I just got yesterday. So I think Extra Festive by Catch has already shown, and of course, one of the films, Hito by Stephen Lopez, is about this anthropomorphic catfish. So he's currently improving the costumes that uh, they have currently. So again, siguro I'd like to give some case studies. So earlier they said, earlier I said we haven't really like seen these films, but early in GIF, we kind of support. When we launched GIF, we invested in three short films also when we premiered the festival. So these are Carlo Manatad, Eileen Kabiling, and Keith Deligero, who are great filmmakers. So when we invested in these short films, we saw that it kind of helped their career. So first, Eileen Kabiling is like a script writer and a screenplay writer from the US, but she's Filipino. So um, after doing a short Basurero, which is starring Jericho Rosales, um, she traveled the circuit route as well. Also, we supported Carlo Manatad by funding the Imminent Eminent. So it also premiered in a lot of these festivals. So I'm not gonna mention all of, but it's kind of a lot. And also, we supported the Days of the New by Keith Deligero, which also premiered at after GIF at Bucheon International Film Festival. So first, I'd like to talk about Carlo Manatad's The Imminent Imminent. So this is one of the early short films that we supported. So when he was raising money for his film, Kung Maupay Manit Panahon, Carlo, I'd like to congratulate you. So recently, Carlo debuted his film this year in co-production with, of course, out of film productions. Then, uh, so yeah, so I think when he was also kind of fundraising for his film, he needed like kind of a proof of concept when he went around looking for grants as well. So we're happy to support with Imminent Imminent. So that kind of started with his proof of concept, and then after he shot his film na, and siguro just this short, I also included these pictures. We also pitched to some producers at Cannes Film Festival in 2018. And now his film is doing the circuit route. So yeah. So I guess this is one way we kind of invested in a short film, and then for us, uh, it kind of grew, and then it became this feature film na then. And I guess lastly also when we did GIF in 2018, we also found like really good filmmakers. So I think so our boss Cor Canares also came from GIF. So I commissioned him before to create also a short film for um, our festival, and now he's our executive director. And also really talented filmmakers like after winning the music video categories in their own right. Like we also hired Kevin Mayuga and Globe Studios after did a lot of commercial work for us. Also we have Quintin Kuonyeng, which is a really really good commercial director now. So I think tangentially we support them through their films, but we can also like invest in them and kind of like they help us also not just with films but also like with this like commercial work being involved with the business. So there I think just to end the talk, I think for us in Globe Studios, like making a film, like nurturing talent is I think built through a synergy of people working together. So I really love that like film is working together, and like nurturing talent is also like making a film. Like it's born from like a community. Okay, there. So thank you very much for hearing my talk today.
Wow, I know we are all blown away by what we heard, and the presentation that we just saw was really really amazing. And wasn't that just heartwarming as well to see that the community is not just built and supported, but the support and the collaboration continues even after a film is made. And so really that's just very wonderful to see that this system that was created and presented by Jan Pineda and also via Globe Studios, that we can see that this is working, and how great it is truly to have platforms like Globe Studios to showcase new voices and to support budding artists and filmmakers, and also already established filmmakers uh, put their put their new material and bring it on a global landscape, right? So it's really wonderful. I can't wait to see Kun Maupay Manit Panahon as well, because I come from Tacloban, that's my province, and I can't wait to see the story and how it is presented, especially since it won a special prize in the Locarno Film Festival. Really, such amazing things that we can see in Philippine cinema now, and that is because we have people like Jan, and we have companies like Globe Studios investing in film and investing in design and in doing this on and on. So I know that you love the presentation as much as I did, and if you have any other questions, by the way, or just feedback, something that you would like to share online, feel free to post about Design Week Philippines 2021 with the hashtag Design Week PH 2021. And also, if you have any questions, I mentioned earlier, if you have any questions, feel free to write them down in our chat box and we will be checking them out and hopefully we'll be able to answer all of them in our Q&A later on. So, a reminder, you can put in your questions for all of our speakers for this afternoon. And so, speaking of speaker, let me introduce our next one. Our next speaker is a cultural worker with over 10 years of experience in development work in arts and culture. Together with a team of inspired creatives, she spearheads Metrobank Foundation's flagship program in art and design, the Metrobank Art and Design Excellence, or MADE. She concurrently serves as the vice chairperson of the Arts and Culture Committee of the League of Corporate Foundations, which aims to bring together corporate social responsibility advocacies from the private sector towards sustained national development. And her immersion in the field involves program development, management, and implementation of MADE's artistic development framework. So, everybody, please give a warm welcome to Louise Lane Calicdan.
Hi, Kathy.
Hello! Hi, Louis! Let me just start off by saying I love your name, Louis Lane. And I can't wait to hear what you have for us. May I ask, how long have you been with Made now? How many years has it been?
Oh, it's been 11 years of serving the visual arts sector through the MADE program.
Wow, grabe. So, wow, more than a decade. Halos magkapareho lang rin ng lifespan, kumbaga, ng design center. So, how wonderful na parang meron tayong colleague, 'di ba? Through this advocacy. And this year, how different was it during this pandemic to continue the projects that you have for Metrobank?
Oh my goodness, truly it's a 360-degree change in everything since half of the implementation must be online. But
Yes.
art experience is really something different. You really have to be there and engage your senses. So we have to do it
Mhm.
safely, carefully for the service of our visual arts sector.
Are you able to do that now already and really have in-person events or like in-person engagement?
Since we just finished this program cycle for 2021, we are
Mhm.
able to transgress some of the challenges by doing it simultaneously, synchronous and asynchronous. So we have some of our programs digitally. We have digital exhibitions, but there's an aspect of the program like the judging competition for the competition, which really has to be done on site. But again,
Mm.
following all the rigid safety protocols.
Yes. And so I wish all of the upcoming events, I wish you all to be safe and to for it to continue to prosper. And hopefully next year, we can really continue and be all healthy and safe. And so right now, I know that you will be sharing the screen for all of us. And so before you do, I would like to remind everyone, the audience members, if you have any questions for Lewis or any of our speakers, you may leave that in the chat for us to answer during our Q&A. So I won't keep you any longer. So Lewis, I'm gonna leave the virtual stage to you. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Kaki. First, we would like to thank the Design Center for featuring the Metrobank Art and Design Excellence in the Design Week. We are truly very excited to be part of this movement. So I am Louise Lane Calicdan, and together with my team of creatives, we are spearheading the Metrobank Art and Design Excellence of the Metrobank Foundation. So MADE is a program of Metrobank Foundation, which is the CSR arm of the Metrobank Group. We are basically a corporate foundation, and MADE is the flagship program for arts and culture. inspired by and really created by our founder, Dr. George T. Xiaoqian, being an art patron and a philanthropist himself. We were instituted in 1984 for the first competition, and it was also during a time of social unrest. So MAID was actually born from similarly challenging times like what we are experiencing right now. Pleased to say, recognition or competition design excellence was a development philosophy practiced by our founder. And so since 1984, we have awarded about 400 visual artists and counting since we are continuing the program. And we also extend grant assistance to selected projects and some art infrastructures also for the country. And so before we dive into our topic, let's define as well as expound what do we mean by support or investing in design. So what we are usually used to in the design support would be the economic sector, would be in forms of funding, grants, or sometimes in kind donation. But let's also expound and talk about some of the social support that opportunities offer, like exposure, opportunities to network within and outside of our own community, as well as advocacy amplification. So there's a wide range of definition when we say or when we define support for institutions. And we also let's discuss our why. So why is this important and why are we even doing this? Our program mandate is very clear for MAID. It is to support young artists and creatives towards a sustainable career in the arts. So it's a long-term perspective. But as an institution, we are a corporate foundation. Our institutional mandate is to be developmental in the way we approach the sector that we support. For instance, we have to work towards social development. And with that perspective, we look at our sector in terms of a collective and looking at the individual practitioners. So, as a collective, we see culture as an essential pillar for social development. We cannot attain social progress without considering, without counting in the role of culture towards national progress. And of course, we also have to look into the individual agencies of the artists, the designers, the cultural managers, the creatives as agents of social change. And these are how we look at the support for the whole sector. And so, what are the modalities that we are able to practice in terms of support? So we have four. First is our flagship, the recognition program. So it's giving not just economic but also social and cultural capital to our awardees and our winners. This is also partnered with our art grants program. This is economic support for capacity building, not just for artists but also for art organizations to empower them and for in order for them to pursue their own advocacies as well. Again, part of support would be developing a network or a community of support within the alumni, within the media, and exposure opportunities. That's part of network development. And another important part of program development for us is our public programs in art education, art patronage, and collections management. It's nice that there are a lot of institutions supporting the producers, but we should not forget to nurture an environment and build an audience that would appreciate, support, and participate with the industry. So these are the ways in which we would like to operate and come up with programs to support our sector. So with that, we have several programs, which is the art recognition. And pre-pandemic, we would go Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao to roll out our art education, come up with exhibitions all over the country. Now it's all online, which we will talk about later. We also have an art psychosocial intervention program where artists partner with clinical psychologists to serve vulnerable communities. And of course, our art collection, which is our way of taking care of our heritage through the visual culture. And these programs are all anchored under a specific framework. We call it the IDEA or IDEA framework. It's inspiration, development of skill, exposure, and application. So in our program development, we support in grants and develop our own programs for inspiration, capacity building or development of skill, most importantly, exposure. Exposure equates to opportunities, and it would be scarce for young artists who are unknown and just new in the industry, but this is an important pillar for building a career in this industry. And lastly, application. We support cross industry practices, collaborations, and this also leads to certain community building within the industry. And also for the winners of MADE, every grant awardee would receive a total cash prize of 500,000 pesos. And eventually, we thought it's not just enough to provide them with the recognition, but these are young artists and they would need a roadmap of some sort to be able to continue in the career front. And so we had the artistic development framework where a portion of the 500,000 will be allotted to a specific track of the winner's choosing. For instance, if you want the education track, these are developments in the academic or any training related opportunity. And for exposure, this would be exhibitions, residencies, and other opportunity to expose your work. And lastly, career enhancement would be spaces and every supply that you would need in order to create a body of work suitable to have a career or to be able to have a career in arts and culture. So these are the strategic frameworks in which our programs and our grants program also operate. Now, let's look into the case studies and some of the featured creatives where careers were supported by the program from the beginning until the mid-career. Also, through at the onset, we would like to communicate that these were not accomplished solely with the help of MAID or with the singular support, but the insights from these case studies would tell us that individual talent, individual efforts partnered with several institutional support made these triumphs possible for these creatives. And so our first creative, I think a lot of you will be familiar with him, John Lee Reynolds. He actually won first in Made in 2005 as a sculptor, a very, very young sculptor. He won the Grand Award, and eventually he also received a grant for his first solo exhibition. So for practitioners in visual art, your first solo exhibition is a milestone event in your career. So and after which we also supported some of his local and international exhibitions. And in several of our art education program or public program, we feature our winners as well. In 2015, we again recognized Leroy for his career for the Metrobank Foundation ACES Award. So this is an award for continuing excellence in service for those who have already made it in their artistic career. And so, Leroy affiliates himself as an artist as well as a designer, and he is known for several collaborations within the art and design industry, from sculpture to public installation art, performance art, costumes, set design, countless. And if you want to know more about his career, we developed a audiovisual presentation for him in 2020 as a response to the lockdown. We wanted to inspire people, and so you may check out our Excellence in Design Made at Home video by scanning the QR that you can see on screen, or go to our madeartdepot.ph to watch the full length of the video about him and about his artistic practice. So, what are some of the insights that we could learn from his artistic and design career? So, first, there's always the engagement with support institutions, not just us, but there are several organizations, there are groups, even collaboration within other creatives, and that is part of what supported a full career in this industry. And he wasn't also scared to grow into cross disciplines. He would do one thing in the sculpture industry and he would do another in another creative industry front, and that those collaborations really enriched the practice. He also discovered alternative avenues of practice. It's not just art market that he was also able to engage, but also he engaged with brands, he engaged with the public, he engaged with other cultural institutions, and this all contributed into a full vibrant career in design and the arts. And one of the main and strongest points or anchor in his career would be strength in advocacy and creativity. So there's always a soul to whatever he would do. There would always be a messaging, and partnered with such creativity, it really enriched the way career was practiced. So these are some of the insights that we can learn when support and local talent was able to come together. So another winner whose narrative we would like to share with you is an interior designer. She is Wilhelmina Garcia. She won in May 2007 for our interior design competition. So after winning Maid, we also supported her residency in Morocco for a design residency. We featured her in several of Maid's exhibitions, and she also received the Metrobank Foundation ACES Award for her career in 2019. So the support, not just from Maid, again, there are other institutions that supported her career, led her to be able to put up her own social enterprise. So that's what you can see on screen, which is the Junk Knot. And this social enterprise not only supported her sustainable design practice, so the furnitures that you can see here on screen are all made out of trash, and she was able to do it by working with communities also. So if you want to know more about Junknut, you may just search the brand or scan the QR that you can see on screen. But her story is from interior design to furniture advocacy work, and I think her practice now evolved to other forms of art. And so, what are the insights that we could learn from her career? So, again, there are engagements with support institutions, and there is mastery of skill through residencies. So, there's an effort to improve even at the mid career. And one of the sites of creativity that she was able to also anchor her practice is community collaborations. So it's the design practice and her advocacy at work, and together that created, again, another artistic narrative that is really of driven by excellence. And so what we wanted to really point out in the sharing is that advocacy, not just for the institution, is something that may also translate to the individuals that who we award, since each one of us have our own agency. And so advocacy is really how we define what we do, as well as how we define social development. And so 2020 came, and it was such a big challenge for everyone, for the whole industry. And we had to ask ourselves, how can we champion artistic excellence in a time of crisis? Well, with Made being born out of similarly challenging times, we were able to pull through. And here are some of the programs post pandemic that we are running right now. So, first, we had to support or give stronger support for digital art and design education. So it's democratizing access not just to lectures online, but also publications that we could share to the public. So for this year, we had around 7 free webinars, similar to what we're having right now, with around 600 attendees. And then we had to continue also the art competition. So that's the MADE program with around 700 entries. So this is the largest number or the largest volume of entries that we received in the past 12 years of the program. So that's older, even older than me. So 700 entries equates to 700 young artists wanting a chance or a shot to be the next future art master of the Philippines. So it felt more like a responsibility to the community that we serve, that we have to pursue, despite the logistical challenge of putting up so much artworks during this time. But we were able to pull through, and just last September, we were able to award 8 artists, and some of them are from the interior design industry, some of them are from advertising. And so these are our winners for the 2021 cycle. And with that, we were able to also push for online platforms for artistic practice. So during this time, it is so important that um, artists and creatives be able to continue their practice in whatever platform that is or will be made available for them. So for us right now, if the digital art space, if the art economy is now in the digital world, we wanted to carve a niche within that digital world and offer that space for young artists. And with that, we launched our madeartdepot.ph, exhibiting works of young artists exclusively for them. And we hope to be able to grow this platform as the next years where other artists, young artists, would be awarded and featured. We would want to offer this space, digital space, for them. And also, during this time of need, we were able to discover the power of alternative platforms of opportunities through advocacy partnerships. We found brands and other um, agencies that are similarly wanting to help young artists, and so through their own capacity they were able to provide those exposure opportunities. For instance, what you're seeing right now on screen, this is a partnership with the brand Bio. They produce the art masks exclusive to Made, and in turn we also supported the weaving communities that is being supported by Bio CSR program. So it's really a value exchange with driven by advocacy. And our partnership with the Rank magazine, the storytelling of Rank, they were able to tell the story of an artwork experienced through the screen. So artworks are usually experienced face to face, but through their storytelling, we were able to know not just the conditions in which the artworks were done, but also the story behind each and every artwork that you can see. And for the last quarter of 2021, we hope to launch another artist welfare initiative. This is first launched in 2020. It's called the Made Cares Program, Community Aid and Relief for Emergency Situations. And we hope to launch our 2.0 before the year ends, as we felt like artist welfare is one of the most overlooked aspects in our industry, and we hope that our little help will go a long way for those who are in need. And so, towards the end of this talk, we would again answer another why question. Why do we need to continue investing in arts and culture despite all of the challenges and despite all of the pressing need that we have during this time of crisis? And so we go back with looking inwards with who we are as an institution. So we are a corporate foundation. It is our mandate to look at this sector as a collective and as individual agents. So, as a corporate foundation, we really believe and stand by that culture is a pillar of development. It has something to do with our identity, with our heritage, with what makes us. And so that is crucial if we want to progress as a country in all fronts. And culture is an important part of progress. It is essential and it is necessary. And then we also look at the potential of individual contributors. Again, the artists, designers, creative sculptural managers, these are people that make up our industry and that shape how we experience the world. So it is part of problem solving, meaning making, value judgment, what is important to us, what we fight for whenever it's under siege, what is cultural production, dissemination of ideologies, how we perceive what is real and what is not. So those things artists take care of and designers take care of. And so with that, again, our sector is essential and it is necessary. And so I hope to end with that and with a reflection that as an institution, to be a developmental institution or to be developmental in nature, it does not only have to be responsive and relevant to the needs of society, but also it has to be empathic. We have to be empathic to the needs of our sector as a collective and to the welfare of the individual agents that make up the entirety of our industry. And that's how MADE plans to pursue, continue, and pull through by investing in Philippine art and design. And so I end my presentation with that final thought. Flash on your screen are our socials. If you want to know more about MADE and its programs, you may visit our socials or scan the QR code. Visit our art space, digital art space, the Made Art Depot.ph. And so I end my presentation with that final thought, and I look forward in engaging with you in a dialogue after this segment. Thank you at maraming salamat.
you very much, Louise Lane Calicdan, for that wonderful, beautiful, comprehensive presentation, but also very, very inspiring. I found myself, putting my hands together in applause and also nodding my head in agreement because so much of what she said resonated with me, and I'm sure it resonated with everyone as well. It is really wonderful to see that we have these organizations cultivating Philippine arts and culture and elevating Filipino talent. It's great to see that kind of support, especially during a time when the industry has limited access to the general public, and what a wonderful way to end the presentation as well, highlighting that arts and design is important for culture, it is essential, and it is necessary for progress. Thank you very much for that. I know you all have a lot of questions and wonderful feedback. We would love to see them online. Please share that at using the hashtag Design Week PH 2021. And also, you can start placing your questions in the chat box. We're gonna head on to the Q&A in just a short while. What's wonderful about the two presentations that we just saw, there seems to be a common thread, the thread of collaboration, community building, creative expression, and exploration. Jan mentioned it when all of the filmmakers that they have are also invited to engage in creating online work or even branded content or advertisements. And also when Louis mentioned the projects by Wilhelmina and Leroy knew how they all explored their creativity in so many avenues and spaces. It's very important for the democratization of digital platforms as well. It's wonderful to offer these spaces for young artists to continue and to continue with the opportunities that they have. And truthfully, investing in design is not just something that an individual can do. It's something that is brought together by everyone, like this program that we have today, not just the private sector, but it's in collaboration with the public sector and everyone investing together. So I know that if you like the presentation once again and any of the others that you've seen today, feel free to post about it, Design Week Philippines, using the hashtag Design Week PH 2021. Okay, so I know that we're all inspired and it's time for another icebreaker. So everyone who are joining us here on Zoom, on Facebook, and on Kumu, we would like to invite you to join us once again. You know the drill. In a minute, we'll be flashing a QR code on the screen and I want you to give that a scan, okay? Isa-scan lang natin yan so that we can participate in our activity. And so there you go. As you can see on your screens right now, we have the QR code right there. And what is your question? There you go. If you have any other questions as well, feel free to write them down. And if you're having a hard time accessing the QR code, you can log on to the website that you can see below. That's menti.com and use the code 82176112. Yes. So I'll be asking two questions again for this activity. Both will be open-ended, okay? Just tell us what is on your mind. So I think everybody is ready. I gave enough time to sign up and scan the QR code and log on to the website. So here is our first question. Okay, there you go. What questions? It's a question about questions. What questions are you bringing in for today's session? Yes. So feel free to write them down. If you already posted them in the chat box earlier, you can repeat that here in this activity. Feel free to raise that question once again. If you have any insight as well that you would like to share, we welcome them. But right now, what is your question? What questions are you bringing in for today's session? We would love to hear that, and hopefully later on, we can address those questions and provide answers, hopefully. in our Q&A. So there you have it. So once again, question number one, what questions are you bringing in for today's discussion? And now, I think we can move on to the second prompt. Oh, but don't worry, I'm gonna give you guys time. Okay, give you guys time to reflect. If you have any other questions that you would like to add, feel free to add them right now. Go to www.menti.com and use the code 82176112. You know, these are very important questions that we would like to ask. Our esteemed speakers will be here to enlighten us as well with their answers. And so, as you are still thinking about the questions that you have in your mind and that you would love to share here in our activity, I would like to remind you guys that we are just on our second day. We have an entire week of activities, okay? As in, we started yesterday and we're going to be having different various activities until Sunday. And if you would like to check them out, you can visit the Facebook page of DTI Design Center and also the Instagram account dti.design center, and you can check all of the activities that you would love to join. Okay, there's something every day until Friday from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. We have amazing talks, and we also have performances and presentation. In fact, there's something that I'm personally looking forward to: drag by design. Oh, diba? That is something that we noticed is really piquing the interest of the Filipino people. Drag queens, drag presentation. Okay, so that is something that I'm sure you're all gonna love. Oh, here we go. All of the questions are in here right now. Thank you to all of our live participants, by the way, on Zoom, Facebook, and on Kumu. So here, what are the questions that you're bringing in for today's session? Oh, there you go. What did so many questions? They're scrolling up. Okay, let me check what we can gather and read right now. Okay. Okay, this is wonderful. We've been hearing about supporting young Filipino designers and artists. How about naman the not so young who have just found their calling in the creative world? Okay, wonderful. Yan. I can't relate being a young artist myself. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, I think this is a question by someone who is a late bloomer, but perhaps also someone who has experienced creativity all their life and really is now, because of the pandemic, realizing that this is something that they want to do. Thank you for that question. Another very important question: with the saturated globalized art industry, how can we encourage more Filipinos to invest in local makers? Well, this was something that our speakers have already brought up earlier. And we can also re-engage and check this question out earlier. Okay, and we're gonna be checking that later on as well. Okay, I'm gonna be checking out just a few more. Oh, wonderful question. Are there programs for the disabled or differently abled who want to pursue art or the creative field? Okay, specific ones, yeah, for specific market. And let me check out. Ooh, there. How can very good. This is something where I'm sure we're able to inspire people watching this program. One is asking us, how can private individuals like us, the viewers, invest in design? Thank you for this. This is not just a question, but it's almost like a call to action. We love all of the questions that you're bringing in. We're going to be checking all of them out later on, bringing them on the Q&A session in just a few minutes. We are very happy that you have brought a lot of questions for today. So now let's move to our second question for you. Okay? In one or two words, what do you think is the major challenge with accessing support and funding? Okay. Wow, we're gonna be diving in really with the challenges, and hopefully you can also share if you have experienced this yourself as an artist. in one or two words, what do you think is the major challenge with accessing support and funding? So right now we can see that there is misinformation, there is discrimination, and basically not having access to knowledge, not having the information that they need to access support and funding. Pitching, availability, bureaucracy. Ugh, doubts. Okay, that there you go. Doubts are also it's a lot of self work that you have to go through. Awareness, disappointment. Okay. Oh, this not more than a few words. Navigating the world. There are a lot of opportunities, but I don't know where to start. Okay, wonderful. Okay, we're here to hopefully address that and to help you guys out. There you go. And stereotypes, language. There you go. We also have intimidating investors. Okay. Yes, I understand this. The lack of resources as well. Okay. Gatekeeping has been brought up here. Uh, having a geography, less access to those in the province. This has been brought up as well yesterday in the talks that it seems to we're addressing the how access is very Manila centered and how we can really reach more communities and give them the platform and the resources that they need. Okay, so wow, this is awesome. We have a lot of things to discuss. Many issues have been brought up, and we really thank you for being so transparent and open with us right now. So thank you very much for joining us in that activity. We're gonna be checking and browsing through all of the questions and the answers once again, and we're gonna be seeing how much of those questions and answers we can include in our upcoming Q&A. Okay, the Q&A is about to begin right now. So once again, thank you everyone for sharing your answers. I'm very happy to learn that as we are learning more about investing in design, we're very happy to learn as well what is in your minds. Okay, and so let's now give the floor again to our guests to answer our Q&A session. Thank you once again, everyone, and let's welcome back to the virtual stage Jan Pineda and Louise Lane Calicdan. Hello, Jan. Hi, Louise. Thank you
Hello.
for. I think we have a lot of questions coming up. Our audience are very inspired and interested as well. And I know that you're all ready to address the questions that they have in their minds, and they have placed them also in our Menti game and the chat box. So I think we can get started. Yes? Let's start first with a question for Jan.
Okay.
You know, cinemas were badly affected by the ongoing crisis and some even closed. Although recently, we're starting to open the cinemas once again, right?
Yeah.
So, how did this affect Globe Studios in providing a platform for emerging filmmakers and supporting them?
All right. So yeah, I think it really affected us because it's our main source of income, the cinemas.
Yes.
But of course, we still want to support the filmmakers. I think since since a lot of the platforms are moving online, also, I think a lot of OTTs or like companies like Netflix, Amazon are really like investing in Filipino talent also.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, we've premiered a series with HBO entitled OTJ. Hope you can watch it. But yeah, since a lot of the things are moving online, I think us as a studio, when we carry our slate to these companies, yeah, we try to sell the Filipino talent to them, and of course, I hope they also support us. And I think also when we were doing GIF in 2019, we really wanted it to be experiential, and I think we kind of also wanted to do it in person again, but I think we kind of failed that, and we're kind of moving the festival also online next year. So yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
since the exhibitions are moving online, We're trying to strengthen how we can also distribute these films online as well.
Hmm. And thank you for sharing that. And by the way, congratulations on OTJ. It's really amazing. And what's this? It's really also very inspiring because John Arcilia is a colleague, and for him to win and bring
So in the
Filipino pride, really our first actor taking that Volpi Cup is really truly outstanding. And so looking forward to more awards in the future. So yes, now I'm gonna drive this next question for Luis. Okay. As we, Lewis rather, sorry, as we are learning to live with the reality of COVID 19, how does MAID continue its mission in providing intervention programs and giving recognitions to young artists and art activities? I believe you already touched on to this earlier, but if it will be okay to hear it again, Miss Lewis.
Yes, thanks, Kaki, and thank you for that question. When we were doing the cycle for 2021, when there's no physical space for an exhibition, we will build you a digital space for the exhibitions. And these are some of the strategies. We really had to go digital and shift most of the program implementation for art education and for the competition. But what we cannot compromise as an art competition is the
Mm,
judging process. Again, the art experience that engages your senses, even if it's a 2D painting, but it's different when it's right in front of you. You experience the
yes.
volume, experience the texture. But with living with the reality of what we have, and if the trajectory of the whole art industry is to go digital, then we will build you a space, and it's for young artists, young creatives to be able to practice, or at least have a piece or a space within that universe. And so that's how Made hopes to move forward and more in discovering other platforms. I'm sure the creative industries, there would be a lot of other innovations that
Mhm.
we will discover to continue different practices for art and design, and we hope to be there to be able to support our practitioners.
Thank you for sharing all of that, Miss Lewis. And just because it was mentioned earlier in our Menti activity, you mentioned young artists. Meron din bang opportunity for the not so young artists as well with MAID? Meron po bang program like that?
Yes, our public program, we engage with all kinds of artists. We work with several artists as speakers or during our workshops. We also
Mm,
provide a space for them to be able to continue their practice through mentoring and teaching as well. So it's also a cycle. You promote the
mm,
young, but you also empower those who are already mid-career to be able to push and help also the younger ones. So it's a cycle of giving, in a sense, a cycle of
yes.
helping each other.
Oh, see, wonderful. So MAID has inclusive opportunities for future or budding artists, no matter the age. Okay, so hopefully we were also able to address that concern. Now, this question is for Jan. With so many talented emerging filmmakers, what characteristics do you look for in a short film or a filmmaker when deciding on a grant awardee? I know you were able to mention this earlier during your
Yeah.
presentation. If you could repeat
Sure.
those characteristics again.
So again, I guess for us, we really engage with like film practitioners as well. So we had a jury that's coming from different fields in film. Like one is a film critic, a producer, and also we kind of get a pulse of, I think, the material that we need currently. But
Mm,
I guess for me, when I sit through pitches and all of those things, for me, I really try to look for a filmmaker's connection to the story. I think for
mm.
me, I think it's important that they're really engaged in their material, and it's a story that they really want to tell. So I think there are really a lot of talented filmmakers out there, but I think when I see that they're really like into their material, I think that really works for me.
Their dedication, engagement, and connection to the material that they would like to do. So that's what you're personally looking for.
Yep.
Okay. So I hope that take note sa ating mga I know that I have a number of friends and who are personally sending me messages because they were watching and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I want to join the Globe Studios and the what their future projects." And so okay, take note everyone for those aspiring filmmakers, okay? And now for Louise. I keep saying Louis. In the post pandemic world, how can we get the Philippine arts and culture back on its feet? Looking into the future tayo ngayon. So
All right.
again, yes, in the post pandemic world, how can we get Philippine arts and culture back on its feet?
Yes, that's such an inspiring question, and I hope I could also give an inspiring answer. Allow me to be a bit nerdy about this. So, there's this author, Arturo Escobar. He has his book Encountering Development, and it talks about how developing countries can actually look for models for social development intrinsically, and he talks
Mm,
about grassroots cultural movements. And so maybe moving forward, we also have to look intrinsically within our own communities, empowering our own communities, working with each other. As I've mentioned earlier, we found a lot of alternative models for support, partnering with other brands which we wouldn't thought of partnering before, and that really pushed the potential of support for young artists for the MAID program. And we hope to discover more of that, more alternatives, and more helping each other within this community that we have. So maybe that's one of the ways in which we can move forward by way of
mm.
helping each other as well.
Yes, continuous collaboration. I have another question that I would like to ask you. When dealing with creatives, what approaches can be taken to nurture their talents and skills to the best outcome? So we can start. This is a question for both Lewis and Jan, but we can start with Miss Lewis.
Yes, again.
Again, the question is when dealing with creatives, I know you have all been dealing with creatives through the 11 years of MAID. What other approaches can be taken to nurture their talents and skills to the best outcome? Uh, some of them already were presented earlier, and but what do you think is key to nurturing their skills to the best outcome?
Yes, from the case study insights, the
Yes.
first insight that we would always mention is engage, engage, engage. So when we have such a rich diversity of talent here in this industry, and you know, artists kasi they love to create works in their own studios kasi
Yeah.
that's where ideas would flow. But if
Yes.
we want to survive in this new and changing, ever changing normal, we really have
Mm-mm.
to come out and engage and talk to each other, similar to what we're doing now for the Design PH. You got a lot
Mm-mm.
of collaborators from different disciplines and industries. And as a practicing artist, if you have an agency and you can engage with members of the community in order to push for any advocacy or
Mm.
any design practice that you would like to work with a certain community. So I hope that that inspires everyone to come out, and you guys, let's talk in a dialogue, let's engage. And yeah, these opportunities are open.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And it's true. So many of the artists that I know are, introverted or like there is a really a time for cocooning or something. It really happens though before they re-engage or re-emerge into the world. So maybe this is really something that we can remind ourselves constantly. Engage, engage, engage. Now, Jan, do you have any other thoughts?
Yeah,
What approach? Yes.
yeah, I think it's also the same. Like for us, when we were designing the program, we did consultations with the filmmakers on what they need and what are the experiences that they've encountered before that that we can improve on. So
Mm,
first, we try to hear them out. Like before, I guess some grants like give like only like a few months for them to finish their film. So we kind
Mm,
of like kind of stretch that. Some grants also like they will take the ownership of the film after like the film is made.
mm-mm.
So yeah, I guess it's also like that, like us hearing what they need and also kind of like changing the program to get the best outcome. And I guess what's important for us as well is I guess plugging them to the correct network. So we got a lot of mentors and experts, and I guess after they have finished their films, of course, these mentors and other film practitioners, they know about these projects. So when they also go to
Mm.
other festivals and they also program there or they also curate programs there, they will remember that these are the projects that have been like in progress, and they can also like bring them to their network and all the other things that they can bring to them for them. So thank you.
Oh yes, a great insight. Yeah, plugging them into the proper network. Yes. Now I have a let's take the let's shift it away from the artists and into towards the potential stakeholders naman. Uh, so, how do we encourage potential stakeholders to take a look at the value of arts and design in our everyday lives and encourage them to invest in its future? So, let's start first with Jan, and then we're gonna head on to Miss Lewis. I know that you are, because you're also with the dealing with the corporations for this. I'm sure that you have a lot of insight with this for this question as well. So, let's start with Jan. How can we
Uh,
encourage potential stakeholders?
I think if your program stands out, and I think it kind of like meets the needs of some potential stakeholders and brands, I think they'll really get on board. Like for us, when we did the first GIF,
Mm.
we partnered with Oppo. So I think for them, they really wanted to parang kind of forward like new ways of storytelling and all of like nurturing the new talent. So I think if you have a really good program and it kind of aligns with some brand goals of other stakeholders and parang people who want to sponsor your project, um, yeah, I think it'll happen.
So it can happen as long as you it's like you can make it happen for your brand, and so that you can be a future stakeholder and to also be part of investing in the future of arts and design. And now Miss Lewis, you deal with this with this probably every day. So how do you encourage potential stakeholders, new corporations, new companies to join you in this investing in the future of arts and design in doing the same projects as made?
As well, patronage, philanthropy, and support, no? These are
Yes.
all concepts, and usually it's tied with the interest of the stakeholder and how can we reach that interest. Creatives are very creative in storytelling, in relating to the world that we live in, and by trying to relate and reaching these patrons or our stakeholders, it's a way to engage them, but we also have to include access, because if you're just talking with the same people and not
Mm,
engaging others, or it's not accessible, the conversations, the dialogues, the
mm,
art won't be accessible, it would be hard to reach potential supporters. But when it's framed
mm,
in a way that is relatable, that people can actually, there's feelings involved whenever you view an art or watch a movie. That's
mm,
a very effective way in initially parang the first impact or engaging with your audience, and that's part of
mm,
support.
mm,
It's social support when you have audience, and
mm,
that's already step one.
mm. Thank you for that. And that's also very Filipino, right? What gets really our emotions stirred, or what really creates an impact, and my magic. There is some people like there's magic, whether it's in the when you see a work of art or when you watch a film. Really, what creates magic there for them to be inspired to invest more in the future of arts and design. So thank you for sharing those thoughts. We're gonna dive into the questions sent in by our audience. Okay, earlier we had questions sent in by our Menti activity, and we have the first question for Jan. This is from Paulo Balderia. So for Jan, how did cinema arts evolve because of the pandemic? What were the transformations and
Mm,
innovations?
okay. I think first, um, from experience, like a lot of the festivals shifted online, and before you need to fly to Cannes or like fly to Italy to be able to see these films. So a lot of them have opened the films to the audiences worldwide. So I think
Oh,
I really like that because I think for us learning also like getting these access, we kind of like
mm-hmm.
look into our for filmmakers, they kind of look into their materials as well and like kind of see like where everyone is at. So I think first
Mm.
maybe that kind of accelerated like some filmmakers then like doing their thing. And also I think when we did GIF in 2019, we introduced sections like virtual reality and those things. And I think
Wow.
and when we were introducing that, I think that was like a side program that we're doing. But now I think because of the pandemic and online experiences, I think that really accelerated a lot of like technological. I guess people like trying to learn things also and trying to
Yes.
innovate. And since these things are available online to learn, also like since people are like spending more time at home, I think a lot of like artists that are kind of filmmakers, but also kind of like doing video art and visual art and kind of
Mm-mm.
like music also. So they're transforming also
Yes.
audiovisual products as well. So yeah, I think
Oh, that's nice. That's nice to hear that it helps more. It gives more of an access to everybody. When you mentioned na hindi na sila bibili ng plane ticket to go to somewhere to a specific festival. So it also, like what you mentioned, it gives them something new to play around with, new visuals, new music to add, something new that can make it even more appealing for digital platforms. Thank you for it was very nice to learn about that. Thank you for sharing that, Jan. And now for Lewis, what does Made look for in artists or in creatives joining or entering the program? Looks like someone's interested. So, what does Made look for?
Thank you for your interest in maybe joining the competition for next year. Well, what is nice in our program is we have an open theme, so we don't dictate. Artists really have the creative freedom to express in the form that is acceptable to the competition. So any theme that you would want to put forth, but if there is first skill, of course, mastery of skill, and then the concept, that is usually the formula for any winning work in any competition. It's the skill and the concept has to have a soul. These are the things that judges would look for in every competition, and each year we have a different set of judges. So walang overall winning formula. It really has to be a combination of skill and the heart or the concept.
Oh, nice, nice. We have a lot of questions actually directed towards that very specific uh like this next question that I would like to direct to you as well, Louis. This is from Mary Grace Franco. She says that I have a 14-year-old daughter now in grade 10. She is very inclined with arts and music, so she wants to pursue arts and design in her studies. Hope you can guide us for available options for her education and career. Thank you. So, do you have any tips or advice for Miss Mary Grace and her daughter, Miss Lewis?
We are honored to be asked, art advising questions. First, let's acknowledge and thank the support of the parents. I think it's always a struggle for practitioners at the onset to gain the support of family members, perhaps. And
Yes.
let's acknowledge how supportive the parent or the mom is. And within MAID, we network with a lot of academic institutions locally, which provide or has a good program for fine arts, if that is the inclination of the child. And
Mm.
I guess if you have your parents' support and you have all that options locally for academic institutions, then maybe this is something that the child can pursue. But early on, the child can already explore what kind of
Yes.
artistic expression would be best for her in her career in the future.
That's right. Thank you very much for that insight, Miss Lewis. And you know what? You're very correct. Props to Miss Mary Grace Franco for being very supportive of your child's inclination towards arts and music. I just wanted to share also on a personal note, if you would like to explore this or with your child, there are scholarships available also. From the Philippine High School for the Arts, if this is something that you would like to explore, that is available. That if you would like to get them started from high school, and eventually, if this is not currently available for you, this you can also explore the future courses that they can take in their college of choice. So depends nga on if the artistic expression becomes specific, and if na direct na siya towards something specific, then we can explore this also in the course that she might take in college. So there, thank you very much for that question. Now this is for Jan from Brian Jukaban. What new media formats or platforms are you excited about to explore? Like live streaming, nagbigay siya ng example. So yeah, this is a interesting question. So do you have anything that you would like to explore, new media platforms or formats, Jan?
Yeah, I think I'm very much excited about like the development of virtual reality. Like because I think with the advent of like the internet and how parang they can use the internet also to do storytelling and like the creation of new programs. Like I'm really excited about how they will use these sort of technologies to also incorporate like music,
Mm, mm,
visual art into kind of like storytelling as well. So,
mm.
so sometimes parang some of them have animation or modeling, which is like drawing some stuff from visual art, and then um, because it's an audiovisual experience, like parang exploring it through like a dimension, like a space na parang virtual lang. I think there's a
Ah,
lot of parang possibilities that can be done.
very interesting. When you say modeling, what does that mean? Uh, Literally modeling, ganyan, modeling, or ano yung modeling?
Like I think a lot of parang talented filmmakers now are who are using VR or kind of like modeling or like world building. So
World
like
building.
yeah, like modeling like characters or like environments and putting it into like storytelling. Parang mga ganun.
Galing, galing, really. And this is something that will really engage, especially the younger generation. They're very into. I believe this is a Gen Z trait, perhaps, that the world building. This is something that they're very very interested in, and very very exciting to see that in future films. Okay, so there's another question brought up earlier that was very interesting. Are there programs for disabled or differently abled who want to pursue art, design, or the creative field? Is there something specific like that? Like for example, Miss Lewis, meron bang specific na ganon for maid, or really anyone can join? It's inclusive. Uh, yeah. Maybe we can answer this concern.
Yes, we have two programs that could maybe help. We
Mm.
have the Art Psychosocial program for vulnerable communities. So it's not really specific to differently abled, but there
Mm-mm.
are specific communities where we serviced or worked with, like children with autism,
Yeah.
survivors of calamities, and the
Mm.
frontliners for 2020 through online art modules. And so if that's what they're
Okay.
asking for. But for the competition, there's no boundary in creating art. So if even if you're differently abled, as long as you can create and you're within the eligibility of the competition, then we welcome you into the competition.
Hmm, wonderful. How about Jan? May ganun ba sa Globe Studios? Is there something just specific for that? Or there is also there's no limit, there is no limitation for differently abled creatives to join?
Yeah, I think for us, what Louis said, yeah, it's free for all. I think parang as long as you can create and put that story forward and just pass a submission, all of that. Parang we don't really like discriminate or like basta you can create.
Okay, so that's something good para sa ating mga differently abled creatives. For free to join. There is no limitation. Both Globe Studios and Made are inclusive for your creation and the future work that you would like to present. Now, this is something. Okay, this is something that is very important. What advice naman what is your advice for people who experience multiple rejections for getting support and funding? Hi, ayan, we're coming from someone with the already the experience of going for support. Yeah, let's start with Jan. So, what's your advice for our creative folks who probably need the right direction and inspiration to continue?
All right. I think when I was a fresh grad from film school, parang I was applying to a lot of like grants or like festivals. So medyo madaming like rejection, and I think for me, I kind of collected them into a folder and
Oh,
kind of
really?
and kind of like and kind of like looking at them, I guess, like paulit-ulit. Sometimes when I see it on like of the browser. So I think what worked for me before is kind of medyo getting desensitized a little bit. Like I think parang
Hmm.
rejections and a lot of those are really like part of parang the I think part of the craft or like doing really what you love.
Yes.
So I think yeah, I think what worked for me a little bit is like getting a little bit desensitized and like kind of parang getting the parang reality that it's like really part of like pursuing what you really want to do. So I think medyo
Hmm.
personal but yeah, I think medyo yun for
But you
me.
know, such good advice, Jan. Actually, I would never think that that would work, but I get your thinking. It makes perfect sense. You desensitized yourself because it's your way of making yourself not too emotionally invested in the rejection. It helped you acknowledge that this is part of the process. Ganun talaga. Parang ganun. You know, these are things that will happen. There's gonna be 99 people in the room. Di ba ganun yung sinasabi ni Lady Gaga? But you just get that one support. And so perhaps that worked and very inspiring. Thank you for sharing that personal story because it's really inspired. I'm sure a lot of our viewers are inspired now. You know, there's gonna be rejections, but along with those rejections, there's gonna be the approved ones. Okay, something that will help you and will answer and will help you create the work that you do. Thank you for sharing that. And makes the success sweeter, 'di ba? Pag nakuha mo na, 'di ba? You keep those rejection the rejection file and then you're like, ay, dati this happened to me, but look at me now. Ayan. So, Miss Lewis, do you have also any advice?
Well, step one, I echo John's advice. Don't give up. Process the rejection, and then step two would be do your research. Different funding
Mm,
institutions, if I may be more informative in this regard, different
yes.
funding institutions might have different priorities. So you
Mm,
have to do your research, and then third would be plot your approach or strategy. So if instance, a specific institution is more supportive of a specific sector, or if they're more inclined to support certain projects, halimbawa with educative component or with community relations, then if you're open, you may strategize your proposal leaning towards those kinds of projects that might be able to help one a proprietor, a business, or any partner to be able to have their grants approved. And then fourth and most important, as a grantee or a funder institution, submit your documents. All the complete documents are necessary because it's part of how institutions are assessed. So if at the onset you're able to deliver the
mm-hmm,
requirements, then it's already an assurance that in delivering of the project, you would also follow through, and that makes the
mm,
funder, you're investing, so it
correct.
makes their portfolio more presentable, and then we give that investment to collaborators.
Yes, makes it more, it proves na you want to be, you're serious about this and you want to be a professional about this talaga. Oh, that's very very helpful, that number 4. So, yes, tulad ng sinabi ni Miss Lewis, if at first you don't succeed, at sabi rin ni Aliyah, dust yourself off and try again, okay? Re-strategize, and then also make sure that everything is complete and you prove that you are a professional about this. You want to deliver everything completely. And so, making yourself very investment worthy, kumbaga. And so, last question for our dear panel. So, let's start with Jan. How do we shape people's perspective in their view of support and funding? That it's not just all about money. So, how do we shape people's perspective in their view of support and funding? It's not just about
Mm,
money.
okay. Um, I think for me in film kasi, parang I guess after you watch something that parang kind of like resonated with you or kind of moved you or parang kind of made you question something, kind of engaged with you, parang alam mo yun, I think parang film has that inherent characteristic parang after na it has that effect on us, especially if it talks about, parang something about the society or parang things that we need to address. So, I hope that when people invest or like do their projects and the message of the film kind of like moves across and kind of goes to parang the people. I hope that happens na parang their perspective na parang also that this is something supported and they kind of got something out of it. Parang I think, parang it's worth it and we need to do these things and things need to happen or like reach people. Parang ganun.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Jan. And so now, Miss Lewis, what are your thoughts naman for that? Uh, how we change people's perspective in their view of support, that it's not just about money and funding.
Yeah, allow me to give a nerdy answer, then I'll end with an operational answer. Um,
Sure.
Pierre Bourdieu recognized that there are three kinds of capital. It's economic, and social, and it's cultural. And with that comes deeper and greater appreciation for all of the players within the industry, because we know that economic is always necessary. That's the step one. It makes it possible, but acknowledging that there are other forms of support that we could receive and we could also give, it makes us hope for a better future, and it makes us empowered to participate, that I have an agency to support an artist,
Mm,
as an audience, as a
mm,
liker, as as a consumer, different
Mm.
kinds of support is available for giving as well as for receiving. And that gives us an agency to participate in that meaning making and value making within our own society. So I hope it enlightens everyone that it's not always about the funding that we could gain, but also give other forms of support.
Thank you very much for that very enlightening words, Miss Lewis, and of course, Jan. And so, thank you very much as well for all of the questions, our dear audience. Well, we have a lot, and as much as we want to go through all of them, we only have the time allotted for us this evening. But really, truly, thank you very much for sharing in all of those questions, and we hope we were able to address most of them and inspire you in your pursuit in your design career and also in investing in design. Okay, and you know what? It has been really a pleasure speaking with the both of you today. Thank you for helping fuel innovation and creativity in the design community and for sharing all of that today. And for your projects and future ventures, we wish you all the best. But before you go, we will be having our photo op and we will be adding someone special, of course. We have with us from the DTI Design Center, Miss Ria Matute. Thank you, Miss Ria, for joining us. Hi, Miss
Hi, Miss
Ria.
Ria.
Hi, hi.
Thank you,
Can
Miss
you
Ria.
hear me?
So, yes, of course, we can hear you. Thank you for tuning in. And I hope na nakaka-inspire yung mga questions na nakuha natin and also the feedback, the answers mismo na we received today.
Super. There's like, I mean, like it was so full of questions. Parang like even just, parang like it's just like all streaming down.
Exactly. Kanina, it's like the continuous yung pag-scroll. And so that's really good. People are engaged with this and people want to invest and be invested in, di ba? So really, it's something that we continue to work and really thank you that the DTI Design Center is allowing a platform for this to happen.
Yeah. No, I mean, well, it's because it's really exciting. I mean, like, what both, like, um, Louis and Jan are doing. I think it also takes design beyond the traditional design kind of like milieu, but it really pushes also kind of like on the entry of digital technologies even
Yes.
in the process and in the system of the way we do things, diba? So that one is, I
Mhm.
guess, that's exciting, even like especially I guess for the younger audience, no?
Yes, absolutely. And so, before we all go and say our goodbyes, we are going to take this opportunity to have a photo. Okay. So, I'd like to invite you to please smile, and we're going to take the photo in three, two, one. Dalawa pala.
Thank
Ba't napamove akong ganon? Okay. Thank you very much once again. Thank you for joining us, Miss Ria. Thank you, Miss Louise Lane Calicdan, and of course, Jan Pineda. A round of applause for the both of you. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
enlightening us with today's talk. Maraming salamat. And once again, wishing all the best for you and for Maid and also for Globe Studios. Maraming salamat.
Thank you
Thank you so much.
so much.
thank you.
Wow, that was amazing, and thank you also very much, Miss Ria, for joining us and popping in and watching the entire session this afternoon and until tonight at 7 p.m. And so I would like to remind our audience to answer our feedback form. Okay, so to give us a feedback, simply scan the QR code that we are showing right now on your screens, and so your opinion matters, okay? Because as members of the design community, we really love and we look forward to your feedback. And so make sure that it would really help us, and we would really appreciate it if you can complete the feedback form. Once again, thank you very much. I hope everyone watching has been inspired to support ventures of their own. There are a lot of great ideas and great artists, out there, and all we need sometimes is maybe a little push. So go forth and make things happen. Now, if you like what we discussed today, yes, we have a whole week of talks, workshops, and master classes lined up for you. So head over to Design Center social media pages if you would like to know more. That is DTI Design Center of the Philippines. You can check them out, Facebook, Instagram, also on the website. Now, before I go, I would like to say thank you to all of our partners. First of all, the Design Center and Design Week Philippines would like to thank the Department of Trade and Industry, our festival co-curator, Fringe Manila and Pineapple Lab, our international partner, British Council, our creative media partner, Adobo Magazine, our live stream partner, Kumu, our design partner, Canva, and our program partners, NASA Space Apps Philippines, and the Half, Fame Plus, Buen Salido Architects, University of Cebu Animation, UXPH, Life After Breakfast.ph, Matic Hub, Robbins Design Center, Philippine International Comics Online Festival, Comiket, Design Davao Society, Architecture Design de Oro, Cagayan de Oro, Design Week. And of course, I would like to thank our audience members who have joined us today. Maraming salamat. And if you joined us starting yesterday pa, nako, extra thank you for all of you guys. Remember to tag us in your posts with the hashtag DesignWeekPH 2021. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you all tomorrow for our next talk, Design for Everyday. See you then. Once again, I am Kaki Teodoro. Have a good evening, everyone.